this video, we are going to look at decimals and how to work with them. So let's get started. Find the value of x in the equation below. So we are looking for the value of x. We can think, what are we doing to the variable x? We are multiplying by 7. So how do we undo what is happening to x? We can divide by 7. So that's the only thing we need to do. Divide by 7 on both sides. Divide by 7 on the right. Divide by 7 on the left. And these cancel out. So now we need to find out what is 16.1 divided by 7. What does that equal? 2.3. So we have 2.3 equals x, and that is our answer. Next up, we need to convert this fraction into a decimal. So how do we do that? Well, we can think about division. So 19 divided by 50, what does that give us? 19 divided by 50 equals 0.38. 0.38. And now we can also think, what is this in a percent? In our representation for 0.38 in decimal form, we can convert to 38 divided by 100, because remember we have two place values after the decimal, which means that we are looking at division over 100, and percent looks at the per of 100s, so this is equal to 38%. Next, we need to convert this fraction into a decimal. So we have 11 divided by 15. 11 divided by 15. Now what's happening here is that we have 0.7, and then we have a lot of 3's. So 0.7, and then 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and so on. How do we write this in a more concise or shorter form? So we have 0.7, and that is the same. But then we have all of these 3's that keep on repeating. And we write in math this overline to indicate repeating. So this is repeating. 0.73, repeating. So when you're typing this in, you have the non-repeating part, non-repeating, which is the 7. And then we have the repeating part, which is the 3, because the 3 goes on and on and on and on. You might wonder, why do we have repeating in some of them where we don't have repeating in all of our decimals? Because in this decimal, we didn't have any repeating. And the reason that we have no repeating in this denominator of 50 is because if we think about 50, the only things that are factors of 50 are 2, 25, right? 5 and 5. There are no other numbers that we need to multiply in order to get 50. 2 and 5 work really nicely in our base 10 system because 2 times 5 equals 10. So whenever our denominator only has 2's and 5's in it, then we don't have a repeating decimal. But down here, we have 15 as our denominator. And our denominator of 15 we can factor as 3 times 5. 3 is not 2. So 3 doesn't go into 10 nicely because 10 equals 2 times 5. So we can have powers of 2 and powers of 5 that give us a non-repeating decimal, but whenever we introduce any number that is not 2 or 5 into our denominator, we end up with a repeating part. So here, how do we solve for C? Well, we can think, what are we doing to C, and how do we undo that? So what we're doing first is we're multiplying by 3.6, and then we are subtracting 3.6 because there's a minus 3.6 right there, and plus a negative is equal to subtraction, so we're just going to be kind of lazy and write this as a minus 3.6 instead of plus negative 3.6. What is the opposite, or how do we undo subtraction? That is addition, so plus 3.6. And how do we undo multiplication? That's division, 3.6. And we need to go in opposite order. So plus 3.6 plus 3.6, and these cancel out. 5.04 plus 3.6. We can add these together. And so when we line these up, we have the 4 that doesn't get added with anything. 0 plus 6 gives us 6. And we have our decimal. And then we have 5 plus 3, which is 8. So this equals 3.6 times C. Now we need to divide by 3.6 on both sides. These cancel out, and C equals what? 8.64. 8.64 divided by 3.6, we get 2.4. 2.4 is our answer. Next up, we are looking at the width of a rectangle. So we have a rectangle here. The width of our rectangle is 7.5b plus 5.5c centimeters. And the length of our rectangle is 2.9b plus 5.9c centimeters. Write an expression that represents the perimeter in centimeters of the rectangle. So what can we do? We need 2 of our lengths, so 2.9b plus 5.9c, 2 of these because we have 1, 2, and 2 of these. 2 times 7.5b plus 5.5c, because we have 2 widths on our rectangle, and then we just simplify. So we need to combine like terms by distributing, so we distribute here, and we get what? 2 times 2.9, 2 times 2.9 is 5.8, b plus 5.9c times 2. 2 times 5.9c in the purple, we get 11.8. C plus, what's over here? 2 times 7.5b. 2 times 7.5, I feel like it's 15. It is 15b. Plus 5.5c times 2, which I feel like is 11. Let's check. 2 times 5.5, we get 11. So now we need to combine like terms because we have b's. So how many b's are there? 15 b's plus 5.8 b's, and that is 20.8b. Plus, how many c's do we have? We have 11.8 plus 11, that is 22.8 c's. So this expression is a representation of the perimeter in centimeters. Now we need to solve for x. Wow, there's so much here. So we need to combine like terms. So first, we have -1 plus 5.8x. Nothing changes on the left side. On the right side, we have 1 minus, and let's distribute this negative to everything inside the parentheses. So we have -9.1x minus 10 plus 8.5x. Now we can combine like terms because we have a term with x and a term with x. So we have -9.1 plus 8.5, negative 9.1, just make it negative, plus 8.5, and we can combine these terms because they both have x's. So we have negative 0.6x. Next we have 1 minus 10. 1 minus 10 is going to be negative because we have a smaller number and we're taking away a bigger number. So we have negative 9. And this equals negative 1 plus 5.8x. Now we need to combine like terms again to put our variables together. So we want this to move over to the left side. How do we do that? Well, what's the opposite of negative 0.6x? It's plus 0.6x. So we add 0.6x on both sides, and those cancel out. 5.8x plus 0.6x. How much is that? 5.8 plus 0.6. You get 6.4. 6.4x. Plus negative 1 equals negative 9. Next, we need to add plus 1 on both sides to put our constant terms together. So we end up with 6.4x equals negative 9 plus 1. That's going to be a negative value as well. Negative 9 plus 1, because the value of 9, the 9 is a bigger number than 1. So negative 9 is going to keep its sign, and we're going to have negative 8. Almost there. Now we need to divide by 6.4 on both sides. These cancel out. And so we end up with x equals, what is negative 8? Negative 8 divided by 6.4, and we get negative 1.25. Negative 1.25. Good. That is our answer. One more problem. We need to solve this inequality. So, again, we need to combine like terms. How do we do that? Well, we have this negative. We can distribute to everything inside the parentheses. The left side stays 3. This the inequality symbol stays greater than. So 3 is greater than 5.4x. And now we change this to minus 7.4x. And negative times negative is positive, so we have plus 1. And the minus 8, we just copy it down. Next, we need to combine like terms with our 5.4 and negative 7.4x. I think that's going to be negative 2, but let's check. 5.4 minus 7.4, and we get negative 2. So on the left side, we have 3 is greater than. And on the right side, now we have negative 2x. And we can combine the like terms again with positive 1 minus 8. 1 minus 8 is going to be negative 7. Well, let's check. 1 minus 8. Negative 7. Minus 7. Now what do we need to do? We can add 7 on both sides. And these can cancel out. 3 plus 7 is 10. Is greater than negative 2x. Last thing, we need to divide by negative 2. But remember, when we divide by a negative with our inequality, we are changing the sign. So on the left side, we have negative 5. And on the right side, we have x. But our inequality symbol needs to change directions because whenever we change the sign of our positive versus negative, then we need to change our inequality sign as well, because remember, 1 is less than 2, but negative 2 is less than, 1 is less than 2, but negative 1 is greater than negative 2. So let's draw out what we have. We have negative 5 is our point, and which direction does the arrow go? Well, x is going to be greater than -5, or -5 is less than x, so our arrow needs to go to the right. And then do we have an open or closed circle? Well, we have a strictly less than sign. We do not have the little line to show equality, so we have an open circle right here.